Alright, what's going on, guys? Chaos311 here, and this is Arkham Horror, the card game. One of my anticipated games in a long time, and it's happy to say it is exceeded my expectations. To me, it's just awesome. So let's go. We got the Arkham Horror board, or the mat here, which is good for multiple players. My wife and I play. But this is going to be me playing by myself, a solo game. And we are using Skids O'Toole as our investigator, the ex-con. But let's get into the campaign itself. The Ghoul's Hunger. Friday, September 18th, 1925. Arkham, Massachusetts. It is the end of a long and abnormally hot summer. The first hints of autumn beckon, but a heavy heat persists, relentless. A silent, unspoken anger grips the town. Tempers are short, and in the last week alone there have been numerous reports of townspeople coming to heated, violent blows with one another over simple misunderstandings. And now a call from James Hankerson. He claims to have found a dismembered body in his barn. Blaming the weather would be too easy. There is something wrong with this town, and not a whole lot this old soothsayer can do to stop the slide. My auguries indicate a small group of investigators will soon take note of these strange happenings and set forth to make things right. I'll be watching their progress, but I won't be holding my breath. Okay, Night of the Zealot. So, Skids O'Toole, the ex-con. Let's learn about him. Skids hadn't planned on a life of crime, but sometimes doing the right thing means getting your hands dirty. The cops didn't care that Skids needed the money for his mother's operation. His mother died of her illness during the second year of his sentence. His cellmate, Brad Hollins, told him there were worse fates than death. He ranted and raved in a quiet voice every evening about the old ones, and told Skids about bizarre adventures he'd had while dreaming. Skids didn't give it much thought until the night he awoke to the sight of his cellmate bursting into flames. When Skids was finally released, he returned to Arkham looking for answers. Alright, so Skids, the ex-con, he is a rogue and a guardian. So that is what he's got. Stat-wise, we'll go through this as we play, but he has a willpower of 2, an intellect of 3, combat of 3, and an agility of 4. He's a criminal, and he has a free action during your turn. Spend 2 resources. You may take an additional action this turn. So he can get to 4 right there, which is nice. And if he gets the Elder Sign, he gets to add 2 to his check. And if he succeeds, he gains 2 resources. So he's all about getting resources, spending resources to do additional turns. I didn't get out of the joint just to watch the world end, says Skids. And he has 8 health and 6 sanity. So that is Skids, the con man. So he's going here. Here's our deck all ready to go. Our discard pile is going to go here. Our cards are going to go here. Actually, they'll probably go here. Our actual threat area is going to be right here. There's some stuff underneath the board. I hate that. All right, and or the mat, and then we'll probably put our hand here face up so that we can see it a little better. So here, Night of the Zealot. Let's move on. So Skids got out of the joint. The Gathering. He heads home from there. You and your partners, even though he's alone at the moment, have been investigating strange events taking place in your home city of Arkham. Over the past few weeks, several townspeople have mysteriously gone missing. Recently, their corpses turned up in the woods, savaged and half-eaten. The police and newspapers have stated that wild animals are responsible, but you believe there's something else going on. You are at your house looking over these bizarre events. Basically by himself, so I'm not going to say he's with people, because he's not. Alright, so let's get to our agenda. It is what's going on. It is late at night. You are holed up in your study, researching the bloody disappearances that have been taking place in the region. A few hours into your research, you hear the sound of strange chanting coming from your parlor down the hall. At the same time, you hear dirt churning, as if something were digging beneath the floor. Alright, and then we go with Trapped, our act. As you leap to investigate, the door to your study vanishes before your eyes, leaving behind only solid wall. You're trapped inside your study until you can find another way out. So we need 2 clues per investigator, so 2 to get through our first act. And when we get 3 Doom tokens, we'll pass the agenda. Now the agenda is the bad, the act is the good. The gathering is the scenario here. We're playing standard. So we use this side of the card for different tokens that might come up. If you want to play hard or expert, then you use the other side. So Skids is at the study, and all locations start unrevealed, or they start face down. So you've been investigating the strange events occurring in Arkham for several days now. Your desk is covered in newspaper articles, police reports, and witness accounts. And when you finally get to a location, you unreveal it. So you flip it from the side with a key to the study. The door to your study has vanished. So you see, it basically has become a wall here. So we get 2 clues at our location. And it is we could find 2 clues. And it has a shroud value of 2. So we'll throw 2 clues on here. Alright, and Skids is up. So we're going to first deal our hand, which we probably should have technically done first. Alright, so I added my 5 resources here before I drew my cards. Technically you're supposed to draw your cards before you do all this, but I had it all set up, so, which I already said. But anyway, yeah, so I made sure I got my 5 resources. So let's draw cards and see what we can do with Skids here. So our first card we get is Manual Dexterity. Could be useful. We get a 41 Derringer. Nice. It's a rogue card. Here's another rogue card, Burglary. If you succeed, instead of drawing discarding clues, gain 3 resources. Oh. Interesting. Okay. Then we get Evidence. If you defeat an enemy, discover a clue at your location. Okay. And ooh, we get our basic weakness, Hypochondria. This is the random one. So you can't start with a weakness. So put that off to the side and we'll grab another card. And we get Beat Cop. Ooh, an ally. Nice. Okay. So now we're going to have to put our... we'll have to decide first if we want to keep these cards. So at least we have a weapon right off the bat, which is very useful. 3 ammo. Yeah, that's pretty not bad. Okay, so as long as you want to kind of start with a weapon, Manual Dexterity is good for us. The Burglary is decent. This could be useful because it's a fast action. Fast event, which means it doesn't cost an action, and we could use it to get a clue after we defeat an enemy. So it could be useful. And Beat Cop, it's nice to have an ally. I don't know if I want to get rid of any of these. At least we have a weapon. If we didn't have a weapon, I would redo it, but take a mulligan. And I think I'm going to get rid of Burglary and try to get something a little better, maybe. So we're going to get Guard Dog. Ooh, so we have 2 allies. Alright, we can only have one out at a time. Oh well, okay, we're going to reshuffle. So that's how you do a mulligan in this game. It's not like some other card games where you do the whole deck. You can actually pick which ones you want, and then you reshuffle the other ones back in. So you can take 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 cards. I'm going to reshuffle these, and we'll be right back. Alright, so here's our cards. So yeah, we got our gun. We have 2 allies, which is nice. Because allies, not only do they have abilities, but they can actually soak up damage for you. And Manual Dexterity will be useful if possibly Evidence could be useful as well in 2 ways. Because it can give us 2 intellect, or if we defeat an enemy, we can get a clue. So yeah, either way, that's going to be useful. Alright, so Skids is in his study, and we're starting. So after what has happened, there's no door. He doesn't know what's going on. He's going to take a quick look around the study to try to figure out what is happening here. First things first, though, I think he is going to either equip himself or get an ally. I think he's going to equip himself first. So he reaches in his desk drawer and pulls out a 41 Derringer that he has kept in his study. So he's going to take 3 resources to get the Derringer, and he's going to put it in play. Alright, and now he's got 2 left. So now that he's got a little bit of protection, he's feeling a little better about himself. Now the Derringer says it uses 3 ammo. So when there's a use, you actually take resources and you place them on the card. So he gets basically this gun has 3 ammo. Every time we use it, we have to take one away. Now, unless the card tells you to discard it when the ammo goes away, or whatever the use is, in this case it's ammo goes away, you get to keep it out here. So there's a chance there are cards that can have you reload your guns, find extra ammunition. So we don't have to discard it when the ammo's gone. We just don't use it anymore. We're just gonna still be carrying it with us. Okay, we could set up our guy a little better, or should we go right after these? Right after the clues in the study. It never hurts to have some cards out there. I almost want to get one of these allies out there right away. That means our whole first turn would have nothing to do with going after the clues. You know, that's not that big of a deal. You know, I want to set myself up a little bit. So we're going to... Not only does Skids have his gun in his room, but luckily he had his buddy, his dog. I don't have a good name for the dog. Let's call him Butch. His dog Butch was in this room with him as well. So he's going to get a resource for his second action, which is one of your actions. And he's going to spend 3 to bring Butch out. The guard dog. So the guard dog is an ally. You can only have 1 in play at a time. Well, not in play, but 1. Well, technically in play. These aren't really in play. Technically, these are in my hand. So yeah, so 1 in play. So we have an ally, and we have 1-handed weapon. You can have up to 2 hands worth of weapons. So now we have our dog, and we have our derringer. So we're ready to go in case anything even crazier happens than our study door disappearing. But that was 3 actions. 1 to play the gun. 2 to get one more to get a resource, and then 3 to use that resource, and the other 2 we had to bring out Butch here. So we don't have 2 resources. Remember, Skids can use 2 resources to take another action, but we are out. So that is the end of the round. So Skids' turn is over. When your turn is over, you flip your card. In a solo game, it's not that big of a deal, but when there's multiple players, so you just keep track who's gone. Now, after that, we do our enemy phase. There are no enemies in play. So we go back to our upkeep phase, where we reset our characters. Then we ready any cards that were exhausted, but we didn't exhaust any. Then we each get any investigator gets to draw a card, and we get perception, which is very useful for us. And we get a resource. Then we check our hand size, make sure we have less than 8 cards, 8 or less, and we're good. So that's the end of the round. So now we start a new round with the Mythos phase, and you skip that Mythos phase the first round of the game. So now we go into it. So if there is 3 Doom tokens on this agenda, it will advance, which is bad. And we want 2 clues on the act to advance, which is good, remember. So at the beginning of the Mythos phase, you add a Doom token to the agenda. Then if we check to see if it advances, it doesn't. We're still 2 away. And then we draw a encounter card for the bad deck. And we find Ancient Evils. That's not good. Revelation. Place 1 Doom on the current agenda. This effect can cause the current agenda to advance. Dark forces stir against you. If you do not act quickly, a sinister plot will be fulfilled. Alright, so that quickly adds... We discard it, but we have to add another Doom token to the track. Right away. Okay. And then it's back to our investigators. And we have Skids in the study. He's armed up. He's got his buddy Butch with him. And now he's going to try to figure out what the heck's going on. So he does have perception. He has a 3 in intellect. So he may go after... He could technically try it without adding his perception, but I don't know if that's a good call for him or not. It would be nice to have that perception for later or for any other time. He's 3 out of 2. He needs a 1 or better. Or minus 1 or better to succeed first time through here. I think he's going to go for it. So he's going to do a investigation, which is you take your intellect against the shroud value. So he's got a 3, he needs to beat a 2. So as long as he ties, he's okay. So we go in the bag of the chaos bag here and draw one of the chaos chips. This bag is set for standard difficulty. And let's see, so -1 is good. Anything worse than that is bad. And we get a -4. Wow. Well, whatever we did, that would have failed. So we fail in our first action to find a clue in the study. So for our second action, we're going to just try again. Remember, we get 3 of them. So let's try again, and let's not get a -4 this time. We get a -1, which is okay because we have a 3 against a 2. So -1 means we pass. 2 versus 2 is enough. So we get a clue in our study. We find some strange markings on the floor in the study that weren't there before. We start trying to figure out what they mean. I think Skids is trying to figure out what's happening to his house. So he's going to take one more shot at finding a clue here in the study. I think he's going to try to help himself out and use some perception this time. So he's going to add 2 to his intellect for this check. So he has a 5 intellect now, again against a 2. And if we are successful, we get to draw a card. So 5 intellect against a 2. And Skids pulls a -1, so we are good. So that gives us a 4 against a 2. And not only do we succeed, but we get to draw a card because of our perception. And that card is a flashlight, which is very useful in this game. So a flashlight helps with our investigation and has uses of 3. So we gotta play it to get it out there, but it's useful to have. Alright, so we get our last clue at the study. Skids following these strange markings on the floor. It leads him to the rug that he purchased just recently, actually. So to advance our act, we just have to spend 2 clues at any time. So we're going to spend those clues now. And we're going to advance Act 1. You notice the edges of your newly purchased rug are tattered and mud-stained. Finding this odd, you shift the furniture aside and pull back the rug. To your surprise, you see the door leading out of your study. You slowly turn the knob and the door swings open, revealing your hallway below. You jump through the doorway, landing on your feet on soft dirt. The door to the study slams shut above you. The smell of burning wood fills the narrow hall, intermingled with the scent of rot and decay. Put into play the set-aside hallway, cellar, attic, and parlor. Alright, so there's cards that we had to put aside in the beginning. So we have the hallway, the cellar, the attic, and the parlor. Next, we discard each enemy in the study. There were none. We place each investigator in the hallway. So Skids is going to head there. And we remove the study from the game. So the study is done. We're not going back the way we came. We have to go through the floor and fall down into the hallway. So there's no way to get back into that study, as we know. So the barrier. A glowing barrier blocks the path to your parlor. As you move towards it, intense heat forces you back away. Picking up a handful of dirt, you toss it at the barrier and watch in horror as the dirt incinerates. Perhaps there's something in the cellar or attic that can help. Objective. When the round ends, investigators in the hallway may, as a group, spend the requisite number of clues to advance. So this is different. So in the last act, we could just spend 2 clues. In this one, we actually have to be in the hallway, and it has to be at the end of the round. We have to be in the hallway at the end of the round with the right number of clues to advance. So this one's a little bit more specific. And since we're in the hallway, we get to reveal it. A moment of panic and disorientation strikes you as you land upon the floor of the hallway. The world spins as if turned on its head. So revealed, the walls of your house are splattered with mud, and your hardwood floor is gone, replaced with a dirt path. So it has 1 shroud value, but there's no clues here. But this hallway leads to the other rooms in the house, and that's the important thing. So we add the hallway here, and this is the end of the round. We already did our 3 actions this turn. So we actually have no actions left. So we move on to the enemy phase, which there are none. Move on to the upkeep phase. We flip skids back over. We ready any cards. We draw a new card, which is Perception again. Nice. We have 2 of these in our deck, and we got them early. And we get a resource. And we check our hand size, which is only 5, so we're good there. And we move on to the Mythos phase. And the problem with the one card we got earlier is that that Mythos phase is now going to advance with our agenda. It's going to advance. We place a Doom token, and then we check, and it matches the 3, which means we flip this over. Your house continues to change before your very eyes. The walls have decayed, and the ground in many rooms has turned to dirt. It is almost as if you have been transported somewhere else entirely, although every now and again you recognize elements of your former home. The lead investigator must decide. Choose one. Either each investigator discards 1 card at random, or takes 2 horror, the lead investigator, who is us. Now that's pretty bad for us, because we only have a horror of 6. So take 2 horror. Well, we got 4 left, which isn't the worst thing. But we could actually put some of that horror on our guard dog, but the problem is once he takes 1 horror, he's done. So we don't want to kill him off that easily. We do have a beat cop that we could play later to help absorb some stuff. So I don't even want to get rid of any of these cards. They're all relatively useful right now. Beat cop's not as useful because we have an ally, but if he goes down, we have him ready. I think I'm going to take the horror. And normally I probably would discard the cards, but because I have an ally out already and another ally waiting in the wings, I think I'm going to go for it. Alright. So we get our next agenda, which is Rise of the Ghouls. The floor beneath you is given way, and you see a vast network of tunnels twisted into the darkness below. Shapes and silhouettes of strange creatures move swiftly through the tunnels, trying to find a way up. You probably don't want to be here when they do. So we need 7 Doom to get through this agenda. We don't want that to get 7 Doom tokens to advance the agenda. Alright. So now, since we advanced it, we draw a card of the encounter deck. So let's see what we get this time. Frozen in Fear. Revelation. Put Frozen in Fear into play in your threat area. The first time you perform one of the following actions, move, fight, or evade, each round it costs 1 additional action. At the end of your turn, test willpower 3. If you succeed, discard Frozen in Fear. That sucks. Alright. So this goes in our play area. And as Skids looks down into that tunnel and sees these creatures roaming beneath, trying to find a way to get at him. Fear overtakes him, and he needs to try to fight it off somehow. He's hoping he can, but as of now, he has that fear. He is frozen in fear, which means to move out of the hallway, which we have to do, is going to take 2 actions instead of 1, which really blows. What I think he's going to do first, though... Ooh. Yeah, he wants to get that flashlight out, so he's going to do that. So we're going to pay 2 resources to bring out our flashlight. So flashlight has, just like the gun, it has uses, but it's called supplies, 3 supplies. So as an action, we can spend 1 to investigate, and we get -2 shroud for the investigation, which is very, very useful. And it's, how many supplies? 3. Flashlights are pretty awesome. So the shroud value here, for example, we would subtract 2 from that. Even though I don't think the final number could go below 0. I'm not sure on that, but... Okay, but we do have a flashlight, and we have... So that's 1 hand. So both our hands are taken up now. We can't carry anything else. We have an ally. So we use our flashlight for our first action. That is not one of the ones that make us get 2, but moving is, and we're going to move now. So either we're going to the cellar or the attic. Let's see what the cellar has to say. The stairs leading down are slick, and they glisten with a thin layer of ice. Ugh. And the attic, the smell of rotten meat assaults your nostrils as you approach the attic stairs. Ugh. And we cannot go to the parlor because it has that barrier in front of it, if you remember. The entrance to the parlor is blocked by a darkly glowing, unfathomable barrier. You cannot move into the parlor. So not yet, at least. So let's head. So we're going to the nasty smell, or are we going to the cold? Let's go to the cold cellar. So Skids is going to move to the cellar, which means we get to reveal it. Forced. After you enter the cellar, take 1 damage. So Skids starts working his way down these cellar stairs, slips, twists an ankle, only momentarily, but enough to damage him a little bit. Your cellar seems to have been replaced with an underground network of icy tunnels and caverns. The cold chills you to the core. Okay, and this is a victory card. So, when it comes to locations, we get 2 clues here, 2 per investigator, so 2 for us. And since it's a victory card, that means that if we, at the end of the scenario, if there are no clues left on a location that is a victory card, we get to place this in our victory pile, which basically equates to experience points. So if we completely get rid of the cellar, clue-wise, we'll get a victory experience point at the end of the scenario. So that is something that we want to try to do. We don't have to do it at times, but if we can, it'd be good to get rid of all of them. Sometimes you just need what you got. There might be 1 left. You don't really need it. You need to move on quickly and leave it alone. But it took 2 moves to move here, 2 actions. We could do a 3rd and spend our resources, but I think we're going to keep our resources for now. Let's build them up a little bit. We don't need to do another action here. We have 7 rounds before the Doom advances. Yeah, I think we're going to stay with what we're going with here. We'll start using... The cellar actually has a 4 shroud, too, to get these clues, which is very high. But we have a flashlight, which makes it only a 2 shroud, which is very nice. So, okay. We have to take our damage. Sorry. We have to take our damage for sliding down those stairs. Okay, so we are done with our round, and now we actually get to test our willpower to try to get rid of this Frozen in Fear card. We need a 3. We have no cards to give us a boost to willpower right now, so we have to do a straight up test, and our willpower is 2. So unless we get a +1 or Elder Sign, which gives us +2, we are in trouble with this test. We had nothing to help us. Yeah. All right, let's see what we get. We get a -1, so we fail. So the only thing that means is that we stay with this. We're still Frozen in Fear for the next round. Okay, so monster enemy phase, no enemies in play. Again, we've been lucky with that. Upkeep, flip our card, draw a new card, and we get Guts, which, ooh, Guts is the willpower card to help us with that, so that could be useful here to get rid of this card, hopefully, at the end of this next turn. And we get a resource to 3. We check our hand size, it's 5, we're good. And we move on to the Mythos phase.